I'm Carrie with EDGEucating, keeping you on the cutting edge of education. Welcome back to all of our subscribers, and if you're new to EDGEucating, we are certainly glad that you're here with us. At EDGEucating, we are here to make sure that we do that research that you are really thinking about doing yourself and sharing those products and strategies with you on a regular basis. We post to our website every week to make sure we are keeping you up to date on everything related to education. We've been focusing this month on school climate and culture. And so today what I'm going to be talking to you about is those administrator walkthroughs and how to make sure that they are something that is beneficial to your building, beneficial to the teachers, and really opens up that communication that administrators need with their teachers. If you like what you get from EDGEucating, please make sure you like the video, share it with your friends, but don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so that you can get notifications when we post our new videos. So let's talk about administrator walkthroughs. So yes, I am going to talk to you about the administrator walkthrough. But like I said, this month we're really focusing on school climate and culture. And so I first want to talk to you about how the school climate is even related to the administrator walkthroughs. So the administrator comes into your classroom, they look at the objectives, look at what the students are doing, and then what happens? You know, the teacher and the administrator have a very special relationship, and it's very important to the way the building feels in general. How do the different people in the building feel about being part of your school? That is your school climate. When people walk into the building itself, physically, how they feel when they walk in is part of the school climate. The interactions that people have with each other, if it's positive or negative, if it's easy to talk to each other, that's part of the school climate. And the relationship that teachers and administrators have is such a gigantic part of creating a positive school climate. One of the biggest aspects of that relationship is the administrator walkthrough. So that's why I really wanted to focus on the administrator walkthrough during our Climate and Culture Month. To start a school year off with a positive impact on the teachers is really what the administrators want. And so at this point in a school year, which we're getting ready to start September, most people have been in school for weeks, not necessarily months. So the teachers are settled, the students are settled, and it's time for the administrators to start visiting classrooms and making sure that things are going the way they're expecting things to go. So having some tips to make sure that these walkthroughs are something that's positive not only for the teacher, but it's going to be positive for the entire school climate. So let's look at tip number 1. So my first tip for administrators as they go into that room isn't anything about the way you look at the teacher, the way that you're interacting. It's the timing of it. The most important thing is to make sure you are going into a teacher's classroom very often. My recommendation is at least 10 minutes once a week. If you are not in that teacher's classroom on a regular basis, so that you are walking in at different times of the day, you're walking in on different days of the week, that's the only way that you're going to actually see the different facets that come with teaching. She's not going to use technology the same way every single day. She's not going to interact with the children the same way every day. The children aren't going to interact with each other the exact same way. You have to be in there very often, and you have to be in there long enough to truly understand what's going on. Now, there are some times when you're walking through the hallways and you might pop in because you're seeing something interesting going on. Those aren't the times that I'm talking about. I'm talking about you're going to go in and you're looking for how that teacher is meeting your expectations. That needs to happen a minimum of once a week. We ask our teachers to evaluate their students on a regular basis. I know that we don't consider all observations as evaluations, but if you haven't observed that teacher over extended periods of time, when it comes time for that formal evaluation, you really don't have enough information to say that you are evaluating that teacher in the best way possible. You have to really know more about that teacher than an hour observation once a year. By popping into that room more than 4 times a month. By the time it gets to evaluation time, you're talking about being in that classroom for a minimum of 12 to 15 times. And if you're doing it for 10 minutes at a observation, then that's really a quality amount of time that you can say you are basing your entire evaluation on. So tip number 1, get into those classrooms just for 10 minutes, but at least once a week. So tip number 2, you need to give immediate feedback. Now, immediate feedback doesn't mean you have it all written up in a beautiful form that you're going to submit to your central office and to the teacher, but at least leave a note. At least give some sort of quick, simple feedback so that the teacher knows exactly what you saw, or at least what you thought you saw. Ask a question. Have them have something to prepare to talk to you about later on in the day about that observation, or maybe later in the week. The teacher needs the feedback as much as you need to give the feedback. They want to know what you think about their lesson. They want to know what you think about related to the student interactions or maybe the grouping. So positive feedback is wonderful. Constructive criticism is also extremely important. We have to give the teacher feedback as quickly as possible, because that communication between the administrator and the teacher has to be something that's rather sacred. It has to be something that is important to the teacher so that she's willing to make those changes and to see herself the way that you are seeing her, or to be able to explain to you what was going on. There have been many times when I've walked into a classroom and I've emailed the teacher, this is, thanks for letting me be in your classroom today, and this is what I saw. And they come back and say, well, you said we were doing math, but we were really doing this science activity. And because I didn't spend enough time in that classroom, I didn't get the full scope of what was going on. So by giving that immediate feedback, I was able to communicate with the teacher later in the day and get a better picture of exactly what was going on. And because the teachers and I had a positive relationship and our school climate was one of growth and trust, she was comfortable coming to me and saying, nope, that wasn't what was going on in that room when you walked in. Having a better understanding of the whole lesson and the whole activity that was going on at that specific time of day was really helpful. I knew what her lesson plan said, and I knew that she was working on that math skill, but to know that she was really applying that math skill during a science lesson, it was so much better to the whole picture of what the teacher was doing, how she was truly reaching and engaging the students. But had I not given that immediate feedback, and had I not had a positive climate in my building, that teacher wouldn't have been willing to come and talk to me about it, would have taken it as criticism, would have complained to other people saying, my principal just doesn't know what's going on. But instead, it was a wonderful eye-opening experience for me to truly understand how deep that lesson was going with those students. So the immediate feedback was really the key to making sure that that observation was something that was not only positive for the teacher, but positive for me, so that I would be able to truly evaluate how the teacher was teaching and how she was meeting the needs of the students. So my next tip is, as an administrator, to really share what you are observing. Don't go to a faculty meeting and say, oh, those people at EDGEucating said I need to tell everybody exactly what's going on in everybody's classroom, because that's not what I mean. What I mean is share with, maybe at a faculty meeting or a memo or a leadership team meeting, exactly what you're seeing going on and the positive things that are going on that you want other people to start doing, but also share the things that maybe aren't working out very well. You can discuss what's going on in a classroom and something that you observed without mentioning the teacher or the grade level. You can talk in general terms so that everyone knows that you are truly engaged in the learning process. And when I say the learning process, I don't just mean learning for the students, I mean the learning process that teachers are going through also. Those teachers are trying to meet expectations that you have shared with them. You have met with that teacher, given them their immediate feedback, but other people need to learn from that too. We've all done this in the classroom. We've talked to a child about what's going on their assignment. They've asked a valuable question, and we've said, hey, everybody, you know what? This valuable question came up, and I think everyone will benefit from it. That's what I'm talking about when I say share the data. Share your observations and what's going right and what's going wrong with everybody, because they might be doing that same thing at a different point in the day that you haven't observed yet. They might be doing that and really want to find ways to adjust and change, and so this is their opportunity to ask questions. Share what's going on in your building with everyone that it pertains to, so that everyone can have also the shared leadership. When someone hears that other people are going through this same issue, this same problem, your teachers are going to be more willing to ask each other before they ask you about ways to improve that. So if you have identified for them that this is something that you want to change, quality teachers will start working on that before you have to talk to them directly. They will work with each other if there is a positive climate of communication and trust. So share that data with all of the teachers, positive and negative, so that everyone can grow from every interaction with you and another teacher. So another great tip is something that I really think that the majority of people don't do as often as they're supposed to, but it's making changes in your building, making decisions about tutoring, teacher placement, student placement, using the data from those observations that you're making to make changes in your building. If you have communicated the observation data that you have done, if you have communicated with the teachers on best practices and changes, then when things are going on in your building that need to be adjusted, they will be more open to accepting the help. They'll be more open to accepting the fact that they need to make the change. That will open up doors to teachers knowing that they need to learn some things and it's okay. Using your observation data to make changes in the building, to make adjustments, is really the way that teachers see that you're just not in there judging them. You're in there to make the entire school a better place. When it comes time at about semester, In our school districts, we always had the opportunity to hire a couple of tutors to come in, or maybe mentors for our teachers. That is the time where this observation data is so valuable, because you're going to tell these teachers, I'm going to send somebody to help you, and they understand what they're getting help for. Are they getting help for the way that they're teaching? Are they getting help because the kids are so low and need the additional help? They are having a block on a certain skill, and you know that additional resources would be something that's valuable for them. By communicating with the teachers and making these decisions based on the observations, they see the reasoning behind everything. It's not a judgmental thing. It's a resource that you're going to be sending to them. It's something that's going to be helpful. They will see it in a positive light, even if it is something that is negative. Teachers who need help don't always want help, but they will accept it when they understand where it's coming from, that it's coming from a person who believes in them. And they know that because you've given them support throughout these weekly observations that you're doing. So really make changes based on what you have seen, so that the teachers can see that you are truly taking the data that they are giving you in that classroom and making it into something that is great for the entire building. So my last tip has a little extra information in it, because it's got two parts to it. I don't want you to do observations alone. So this could mean that you have your assistant principal. She does some observations too, so that you can have another perspective. But really, I want all administrators to reach the goal of having teachers observe each other. It is a huge learning experience for a teacher to go into her colleague's room and observe and be able to look for things that they would like to do differently themselves, look for ways that they could help their coworker. It is really a process that is, it really is contingent on a very positive school climate. In my previous school, I'm a retired principal, but in my previous school, we started off where the teachers were used to being observed by the administrator once or twice a year, and that was it. So of course, there was no way I was going to do that. So I was in the classrooms all the time. I walked around the building. I would pop in just to do, informal, just looking around, just so the students knew my face, connected the voice on the intercom to who I was and what my role was in the building. But then I also walked around and did those observations where I'm giving direct feedback about teaching practices, grouping, the level of the students. I'm really giving quality feedback about the lesson itself at least once a week. But then I needed my teachers to be able to have another connection with an observation. And so I implemented where my teachers would go in and observe people that are pros in maybe a subject area that they're having a hard time with, or maybe they're going to observe a teacher who was a pro at a specific procedure. Maybe they were a pro with discipline. Maybe they were a pro in a subject area. But I asked my teachers to identify for themselves a weakness and then to go into another teacher's classroom who has that as a strength. Now, you can't do that in an environment where the teachers don't know each other. They have to know how the other people teach. They have to have had from the leadership a discussion about what people are doing right and what people are doing and are the pros at whatever those things are. So that took a lot of communication from me to the different teachers. But if those teachers really felt like they could help their fellow teachers improve their classrooms by having them come in It really made them feel great about what they were doing. It made them feel great about not just what they're doing in their classroom, but that they were able to help their fellow teacher. We are all in this together. And education is so hard on so many levels. There's no way for everybody to be a pro at everything. But to have each other, a co-worker, as an ally in the battle that is, education right now, it really is a great way to use an observation as a learning tool for everyone. So my last tip is don't go it alone. Get some other people in those classrooms, not just for the teacher's benefit, but for your benefit too. So the last little thing I'm going to tell you, right now we're in a time of teacher observations that are also a little weird because it might be online. So at EDGEucating, we always say we're keeping you on the cutting edge of education. Well, right now, doing a teacher observation in a virtual classroom is going to be something that's a little different for you too. So don't think that we left you out if you are doing 100% virtual. If you check out our Teacher Pay Teachers page, I have an evaluation for online classrooms also. We are so glad you are here with us to learn and grow. EDGEucating wants to keep you on the cutting edge of education in any way possible. Please check out our webpage. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you get the notifications. We'll see you next month.